want to welcome you. This is Brian and from Rissa and Brian Coaching. We're going to go over probably one of the most important videos. It's a general video. We're not going to go through a lot of detail, but it's the strategies that we use every day to be able to make money in creative real estate financing. So let's just go through the names right now. One is wholesaling. Next one is flipping. Next one is seller financing, and lease options. There's a lot of things in that box there. Straight option is where you get an option to purchase and then you sell that option. Multifamily is usually 3, 4, 5 units. College housing, there's a lot of creative things you can do with college housing. I like more on the graduate housing, like the doctors and the lawyers, because they're quiet and they're responsible and they're there all the time. Storage, there's lots of ways to make money in storage. Land flippings, where you get a sale and purchase agreement and sell that agreement to a buyer. Special needs housing, there's a lot of money to be made if you can put the right particular services within a property, and then the government will help you on special needs housing. You should Google that. Assisted living facilities got to do with people that are older, like nursing homes. You should take a look at that. Foreclosures is a big box. There are risks involved with foreclosures, and we anticipate a lot more foreclosures over a space of time. And then going through a few other things, which is shared appreciation mortgages or SAMs, and that's where you partner with someone regarding the appreciation. Sale then lease back. This is where that you can buy the property and lease it back to the seller, and subdivide and sell the parcel. So we're going to go through the ones that we use most of the time. Let's start with wholesaling. Wholesaling is got to do with finding a property that needs a lot of work and then selling that property to a rehabber that's going to do the work. Wholesaling really means you're going to clean it out, but not do a lot of work. It's kind of a very low level of work, and you can make money with wholesaling. You need cash buyers list to be able to do wholesaling, and we have ways to be able to help you build a cash buyers list quickly. Flipping has got to do with you're going to buy that property, fix it, and resell it to a consumer, usually. But you can also find rehab buyers, people that are looking for rehabs. You need to understand how double closing or assigning works, and the cash buyers list is needed too. Seller financing and lease options, one of our favorite ways to make money, because you really don't need any financing. And we're going to go through these right now. So we're going to start with what's called a land contract. A land contract usually is 5 to 10 year contract, 5 to 20% down, and a balloon payment at the end of that term. The buyer occupant or the vendee is going to need to refinance at that balloon time. If you need to repossess during the default of the buyer or the occupant, you need to research the foreclosure laws. This is also known as contract for deed, agreement for deed, bond for deed in Louisiana, installment land contract. So land contracts are a really good tool to make money without banks. Let's go through right now subject to and land trust. This is where you take over the payments of the existing financing. You don't formally assume the mortgage. You promise to pay the PITI to the particular holder of that mortgage, and they actually give you the deed. We always create a land trust. We place the property in the land trust. The subject to may have a note with no payments for equity. So let's say you had a 50% equity and they were behind on their payments. Well, you would take over their particular first mortgage and then give them a note for their equity. Wrap purchases. Well, this is called a wraparound mortgage, where wrap means wrapping a new first mortgage around the existing financing. And in California, it's called an all-inclusive trust deed. It's a trust deed state. Wrap purchases are a great way to be able to buy property without a bank. Now we're going to move into lease options, lease purchase. Lease options where you're going to lease from the seller and then sublease and sub-option to a buyer. So the seller is going to get a lease purchase arrangement and the tenant's going to get a lease and a separate option to purchase. So you're in a sandwich lease option right here. Now the rent to own and assign is one of our favorite ways to make money, and it's quick and you're out of it. The seller is going to get a lease and a separate option with a letter of intent to assign the deal to the buyer. The tenant's going to get a new lease and a new option with an option release document, which is going to allow you to make some money. Seller then gets a new lease and a new option with the new tenant. So that's a rent to own and assign, or lease purchase, then rent to own on a sandwich. So we do like lease purchase and lease options. So let's take a look right now at the next creative strategy that we use. It's called a straight option. Now, straight options isn't just an option to purchase and you're going to sell that agreement. You can protect your option by putting a memorandum on the title, which clouds that title. Straight options are great ways to be able to control properties. You can do them on commercial and residential, and we love straight options. Now, moving up to multifamily, you can do FHA 1 through 4 doors, or you can do over 4 doors with commercial financing. And this is a buy and hold rental strategy. College housing is, with the COVID and everything else that's going on, I recommend you take a look at some of the great university towns and look at graduate housing. We like graduate housing more than undergraduate housing, like doctors and lawyers that are studying really hard, and they will pay for a really nice place to study. Storage, you can do storage investing. There's lots of opportunities for that. Land flipping is where you get a sale and purchase agreement on some land and you sell that agreement for a fee. Special needs housing, this is people that really do need some special care. The government really will subsidize some of that work. So take a Google search on special needs housing. Assisted living facilities, this is where people that are older, like nursing homes, this is another opportunity for real estate investing. Now, foreclosures is a little bit tricky, and you got to be careful of where you are with foreclosures. I don't recommend you get started with foreclosures. You need to understand whether or not you're in a judicial or a non-judicial state, and even some states have a strict foreclosure state. And then VA foreclosures is another box that they will actually 5% down, they'll provide financing for you. So the judicial, understanding that there's a lawsuit summons, the lender gets a judgment, and it's 3 to 12 months. It's a long process. Non-judicial, power of sale, right of redemption, it's not as long. Strict foreclosure doesn't require a sale, and VA foreclosures. Something creative called a shared appreciation mortgage, which you're going to share in the appreciation of a property, and usually do that with the seller. A sale and leaseback is where you buy the property and lease it back to the owner, and subdividing and selling a parcel is an interesting way to make money if there's a good amount of land involved with the property. So that is just, most of the particular strategies that we use, but we highly recommend that you stay in this box right here when you get started with our particular financing, because you can have the worst credit in the world and even be bankrupt before and do the land contract sub to wrap purchase, lease purchase, then rent to own and assign, and make money using that or straight options. Wholesaling, you can make money in wholesaling. It is a job. But flipping is a little bit, I don't recommend you do that unless you have a general contractor that's either yourself or a relative, I would stay in this box when you get started and the straight options. So this is Brian with Rissa and Brian Coaching.com. I hope you've enjoyed this particular recording. The next recording is going to be not strategies, but where are the sources we can make some money? So that's going to be the next recording. I want to thank you for listening to this recording on strategies with creative financing for real estate investors. Bye for now.